The Galactic Ultimatum. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with a cacophony of alien languages, each species translator working overtime to keep up with the frantic discussions. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in concentric rings, their forms as diverse as the stars themselves. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others pulsed with bioluminescence, and still others shifted form continuously, never settling on a single shape. At the center of it all, a massive holographic projection flickered to life, casting an eerie, otherworldly glow across the assembled dignitaries. The image showed a planet, lush, blue-green, teeming with life. In an instant, a wave of darkness swept over it, leaving nothing but a lifeless, charred husk in its wake. The chamber fell silent, save for the occasional gasp or whimper. High Counselor Zixtal, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate metallic shell, spoke first. Its voice, though artificially produced, carried the weight of eons. "What you have witnessed is not a simulation," Zixtal announced, its shell pulsing with each word. "This footage, transmitted by our long-range probes, shows the fall of Luminara Prime to the Void Horde, a world of 10 billion souls, snuffed out in menos than a planetary rotation." Panic erupted. A delegation of crystalline beings shattered in distress, their shards tinkling across the chamber floor. Gelatinous Morbians oozed from their seats, forming protective spheres around themselves. Even the usually stoic Vulpexi, with their 4 eyes and fox-like features, chittered nervously among themselves. Silence. Zixtal's amplified voice boomed, restoring order. "We have faced threats before, but none like this. The Void Horde consumes all in its path. Organic, synthetic, even energy-based life forms are not spared. Our long-range sensors indicate they will reach the outer rim of Council space within 2 galactic standard cycles." A holographic star map materialized, showing the Horde's projected path. System after system blinked red, indicating projected casualties in the billions. Grolthar the Annihilator, Supreme Commander of the Thoraxian Armada, rose on his 4 insectoid legs. His mandibles clicked in agitation as he spoke. "Then we must strike first. The combined might of our fleets would be insufficient," interrupted Alara, the astral seer of the Illyrian collective. Her ethereal form shimmered as she continued. "I have gazed into 1,000 possible futures. In none do we emerge victorious through strength of arms alone." The council erupted once more, accusations of cowardice mingling with cries of despair. Zixtal was about to call for order again when a thunderous crash echoed through the chamber. Warning klaxons blared as the massive doors to the council's private docking bay buckled inward. Security drones swarmed the entrance, weapons primed. The doors groaned, then flew open with a screech of protesting metal. Acrid smoke poured in, and from it emerged a human. The man, clad in a slightly singed formal suit, strode confidently into the chamber. He was of average height for his species, with close-cropped hair and a neatly trimmed beard. What set him apart was the glint in his eyes, a mix of audacity and barely contained amusement. "Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted beings of the galaxy," he announced, his voice carrying clearly despite the lack of any visible translation device. "I do apologize for our tardiness and unorthodox entrance. I'm afraid our pilot was a bit too eager to try out the new warp drive, parking, as it turns out, his tricky at faster-than-light speeds." The security drones encircled the human, their weapons humming ominously. He raised his hands in a gesture of peace, though his grin never faltered. Zixtal's shell pulsed rapidly, a sign of agitation. "Who are you, and how dare you interrupt this most critical of sessions?" The man bowed with a flourish. "Ambassador Jack Harper, at your service, representative of Earth and humanity at large. We received your distress call and came as quickly as we could. Though," he added with a wink, "perhaps a bit too quickly, judging by the state of your docking bay. We're happy to foot the bill for repairs, of course." A ripple of disbelief swept through the chamber. The Volpexi ambassador, Rixixa, stood up, her fur bristling. Impossible. Earth is a backwater world, barely able to reach its own moon. You expect us to believe you developed faster than light travel? Harper shrugged. We're quick studies, and nothing motivates innovation like a good old-fashioned existential threat. Now, about this void horde problem. This is no concern of yours, human, Grolthar interrupted, his mandibles clicking menacingly. This is a matter for advanced species, not hairless apes who've barely mastered fire. Instead of taking offense, Harper laughed. Advanced species. Funny, I don't see a lot of advanced problem-solving happening here. Mostly I see a bunch of folks arguing while the galaxy burns. Now, we humans might be new to the neighborhood, but we've got a knack for thinking outside the box. And right now, it looks like you could use some fresh ideas. The chamber erupted in a mix of outrage and incredulous laughter. Accusations of human arrogance mingled with dismissive sneers. But before Zixtal could restore order, a new voice cut through the chaos. Let them speak. The words, though softly spoken, silenced the room instantly. All eyes turned to a darkened alcove, where a figure stirred for the first time in living memory. Elder Xuthal, last of the precursors, rose from his millennia-long meditation. His form was indistinct, as if not fully anchored to this plane of existence. When he spoke again, his words seemed to bypass the air entirely, resonating directly in the minds of all present. I have watched countless species rise and fall, Xuthal intoned, his ageless eyes fixed on Harper. In humans, I sense something different, a spark of the unpredictable. And unpredictability may be our only hope against the void. Harper bowed deeply to the elder. Much obliged, friend. Now, as I was saying, Earth volunteers its full support in this fight. Our fleet might not be the biggest or the flashiest, but we've got grit, determination, and a stubborn refusal to roll over and die. Alara the astral seer drifted forward, her luminous eyes searching Harper's face. I cannot see your future, human. It's clouded, as if the very act of observing changes its course. Ah, that'd be the quantum uncertainty principle at work, Harper said with a wink. We're funny like that. Never know what we'll do until we do it. Zixtal's shell pulsed slowly as it considered. And what precisely does Earth offer in this fight, Ambassador Harper? Harper's grin widened. Oh, you know, the usual. A ragtag fleet of ships held together by duct tape and sheer stubbornness. Soldiers who don't know the meaning of the word impossible. Scientists who treat the laws of physics more like polite suggestions. And he added, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, a secret weapon that just might turn the tide. The chamber buzzed with curious murmurs. Even the dismissive Grolthar leaned forward, intrigued despite himself. A secret weapon. Zix tall pressed. What could a primitive species like yours possibly possess that could affect this war? Harper's eyes twinkled with mischief. Now, if I told you, it wouldn't be a secret, would it? Let's just say it's something the Void Horde won't see coming. Something uniquely human. Elder Xuthal's form shimmered as he addressed the council. In all my eons, I have learned one truth. Underestimate any species at your peril. The humans asked to fight alongside us against an unprecedented threat. I say we grant their request. A hush fell over the chamber as the weight of the elder's words sank in. Zixtal's shell pulsed rapidly as it processed this turn of events. Finally, it spoke. Very well, Ambassador Harper. Against my better judgment, and at the recommendation of Elder Xuthal, we accept Earth's offer of assistance. But be warned, the stakes could not be higher. The fate of all known life hangs in the balance. Harper's grin never faltered, but his eyes hardened with determination. Trust me, counselor. We're well aware of the stakes. Earth has a long history of overcoming impossible odds. The Void Horde won't know what hit him. As the human strode out to prepare his people for war, the council chamber buzzed with a new energy. Fear still permeated the air, but now it was tinged with something else. something that had been missing before the humans' arrival. Hope. Little did the Galactic Council know, humanity was about to rewrite the rules of engagement, proving that sometimes the most primitive approach could be the most effective against an advanced enemy. The war for survival was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Baptism by antimatter fire. The vast expanse of space in the Zeta Reticuli system churned with activity. A joint fleet of the Galactic Alliance hung in high orbit around a gas giant, their ships a motley assortment of designs as varied as the species that crewed them. Sleek Vulpexi fighters darted between the massive crystalline structures of the Lyrian dreadnoughts. Phyrexian battle hives pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, while the energy shells of Zixtalic command ships shimmered with barely contained power. And there, looking decidedly out of place among the advanced alien vessels, floated the human contingent. Their ships were bulky, inelegant things, more akin to deep space tugboats than warships. The largest, emblazoned with EFSTES Humanity's Hope on its hull, bore scorch marks and hasty repairs, souvenirs from their eventful arrival at the Galactic Council. Aboard the Humanity's Hope, Ambassador Jack Harper stood on the bridge, gazing out at the assembled armada. Beside him, Admiral Elena Vega, a veteran of Earth's tumultuous unification wars, frowned at the tactical display. Quite the welcoming committee, Harper mused, gesturing at the fleet. Though I can't shake the feeling we're the ugly ducklings at this space prom. Vega's frown deepened. I don't like it, Jack. We're too exposed here. That debris field would provide better cover and... A priority communication cut her off, the holoscreen flickering to life with the image of High Commander Zixtal. Ambassador Harper, the energy beam's artificial voice crackled. Your position is non-optimal. Move your vessels behind the primary defensive line immediately. Harper offered his most disarming smile. With all due respect, Commander, we're comfortable where we are. Consider us your forward scouts. This is not a request, human. Your primitive vessels are a liability. You will. The rest of Zixtal's order was drowned out by a cacophony of alarms. The debris field erupted with activity as hundreds of Void Horde ships decloaked, their obsidian hulls seeming to drink in the starlight. Well, Harper quipped, straightening his tie. Looks like the party's starting, and fashionably early. Admiral Vega, if you would be so kind. Vega was already in motion, barking orders. All hands to battle stations. Activate ODIN defense grid. Weapon systems hot. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as the crew sprang into action. Outside, panels slid open along the hull of Humanity's Hope and its escort ships, revealing rows of what appeared to be antiquated satellite dishes. High Commander Zixtal's voice cut through the commotion. Human vessels, withdraw immediately. You cannot hope to. Harper cut the transmission with a flick of his wrist. Sorry, old chap. Bit busy at the moment. The void between the fleets lit up as the Horde opened fire. Lances of antimatter streaked toward the Allied ships. The advanced shields of the alien vessels flared to life, shimmering barriers of energy intersecting to form complex geometric patterns. They held for approximately 3 seconds before failing spectacularly. Antimatter met matter in a series of devastating explosions. The Lyrian dreadnoughts shattered like glass. Phyrexian battle hives burst like overripe fruit. Even the energy shells of the Zixtalic ships offered little protection against the onslaught. Amidst the chaos, the human ships remained untouched, the strange satellite dishes swiveling to track incoming fire. ODIN systems performing admirably, sir, reported the weapons officer, Lieutenant Ramirez. Antimatter streams successfully deflected. Harper allowed himself a small smile. Excellent. Let's show them what Earth brings to the table, shall we? Admiral Vega, you have the con. Vega nodded grimly. All ships, execute maneuver Theta 9. Weapons free, give 'em hell. The ungainly human vessels surged forward, diving into the heart of the Void Horde formation. As they closed distance, the true nature of their primitive design became apparent. The hulls, pockmarked with burns and impacts, shed their outer layers like snake skin, revealing gleaming armor beneath. "Radiological alarm," shouted the sensor operator. "The human ships are hot." Zixtel's voice crackled over the comm once more, panic evident even through the artificial tones. "By the cosmic egg, what are you doing?" This time, Harper answered. "Ever hear of the ODIN project, Commander? Omnidirectional Interference Network. Fancy term for a glorified electromagnetic mirror. Turns out, the laws of physics are pretty consistent, even for antimatter." As if to punctuate his point, a Horde destroyer unleashed another antimatter barrage at point-blank range against humanity's hope. The ODN dishes glowed white-hot, bending the streams of antimatter away from the ship and back toward the Horde vessel. The resultant explosion vaporized the attacker instantly. But the humans weren't done. Their ships, now intermixed with the Horde fleet, opened fire with weapons of their own. But instead of energy beams or plasma torpedoes, they launched what appeared to be metal slugs. "Mass drivers," Admiral Vega explained to a dumbfounded alien commander who had patched in. "Refined depleted uranium cores accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. No fancy energy signatures to detect or shields to deflect. Just good old-fashioned kinetic energy." The effects were devastating. Horde ships, designed to defend against energy weapons, might as well have been tissue paper. The hypersonic projectiles punched clean through multiple vessels with each shot, leaving clouds of debris and atmosphere in their wake. For several minutes, the battle raged, with human ships darting between Horde vessels, ODIN systems redirecting antimatter fire into the enemy ranks, while mass drivers punched holes through anything unlucky enough to be in their path. Then, as quickly as it began, it was over. The remaining Horde ships, more than half their number destroyed or crippled, retreated in disarray, jumping to faster-than-light speeds with little apparent coordination. As the dust settled, the full extent of the engagement became clear. The alien fleet had been decimated, with over 60% of their ships destroyed or severely damaged. The human fleet, while battered, had suffered no casualties. Aboard humanity's hope, the bridge crew allowed themselves a moment of celebration. Harper clapped Admiral Vega on the shoulder. "Excellent work, Elena. I do believe we've made quite the impression." Vega managed a tired smile. "Let's hope it's enough to keep us in the game. We won't be able to pull off the same trick twice." The holoscreen flickered to life once more, showing the faces of various alien commanders. Their expressions ranged from shock to awe to outright suspicion. High Commander Zixtel spoke first, its energy shell pulsing rapidly. "Explain yourselves, humans. How did you? What did you?" Harper straightened his tie, which had somehow remained immaculate throughout the battle. "As I said at the council, Commander, humanity has a knack for thinking outside the box. We looked at your antimatter weapons and thought, hey, that's just really angry photons, isn't it? Turns out you can play tennis with antimatter if you've got the right racket." A Volpexi captain, her fur singed and standing on end, leaned into the frame. But your ships, they're not. They can't be exactly what they appear." Harper finished with a wink. "My dear Captain, that's the first rule of warfare. Nothing is ever as it seems. We might not have your fancy energy weapons or faster-than-light drives. Well, reliable ones, anyway. But we've got a few tricks up our sleeves." Admiral Vega stepped forward. "If I may, Ambassador, to our alien allies, what you've witnessed today is just the beginning. Humanity stands ready to share our technologies and strategies, but more importantly, we bring a fresh perspective to this fight. The Void Horde may be technologically superior, but they've never faced an enemy quite like us." The aliens exchanged glances, a mix of hope and uncertainty in their eyes. Finally, Zixtel spoke again. "Very well, humans, you have proven your worth in battle. But this victory, while significant, is but a small step in a long war. The Horde will adapt. They will return, stronger and more prepared. Harper's grin never faltered. Oh, I'm counting on it, Commander. Because so will we. Now, who's up for a little post-battle strategy session? I've got some ideas involving slingshots, black holes, and a whole lot of coffee that I think you'll find interesting. As the human crews began rescue operations, saving both their allies and enemy combatants alike, the rest of the fleet looked on in a mixture of awe and apprehension. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage in earnest, and the Void Horde had just learned a costly lesson. Sometimes, the most primitive solution is the one you least expect. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. And humanity, it seemed, was just getting started. The Horde strikes back. The victory celebration aboard the Galactic Alliance's command station was in full swing. Representatives from a dozen species mingled in the zero-gravity reception hall, their translators working overtime to keep up with the excited chatter. At the center of it all, nursing a glass of iridescent alien liquor, stood Ambassador Jack Harper. To humanity. Toasted a Vulpexi captain, her 4 eyes gleaming. May your primitive solutions continue to confound our enemies. Harper raised his glass with a grin. And to our alien allies. Together, we'll show the Void Horde that the galaxy's got teeth. As the cheers died down, Harper noticed Admiral Vega floating near the observation window, her expression grim. He made his way over, dodging a group of gyrating thoraxians. "You're missing quite the party, Elena," he said, offering her a drink. Vega shook her head. "We shouldn't be celebrating, Jack. The Horde will be back, and they won't fall for the same tricks twice." Before Harper could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The celebratory atmosphere evaporated instantly as officers rushed to their posts. High Commander Zixtel's voice echoed through the comm systems. "All personnel to battle stations. We are detecting a massive Void Horde fleet approaching from multiple vectors." Harper and Vega exchanged a look. "Well," Harper quipped, "I suppose the party had to end sometime." They raced to the command center, arriving to find chaos. Tactical displays showed thousands of Void Horde ships advancing on Alliance positions across multiple star systems. "Report," Vega barked, slipping into her role as Earth's military representative. A Illyrian tactical officer, her ethereal form flickering with stress, responded. "The Horde vessels are emitting some kind of energy field. Our long-range sensors are being scrambled, and... The officer trailed off, her luminous eyes widening in horror. Across the command center, alien crew members began to collapse, writhing in apparent agony. "Elena," Harper rushed to catch a falling Zixtalic ensign, the beam's energy shell flickering erratically. "What's happening?" Vega was already at a console, her fingers flying over the alien interface. "Some kind of psychic attack. It's affecting all the telepathic species." As if to confirm her words, the Illyrian tactical officer let out a piercing scream before dissolving into pure energy, her corporeal form lost to whatever mental assault was underway. Amidst the chaos, Harper noticed something odd. "Elena, why aren't we affected?" Vega's eyes widened with realization. "Because we're not psychic. Whatever this attack is, it's targeting the neural structures unique to telepathic species." The implications were staggering. Every major race in the Alliance relied on some form of psychic ability for communication, navigation, or combat. Every race except humans, Harper breathed. "We're the only ones immune." Vega nodded grimly. "Which means we're the only ones left to fight." Harper's mind raced. "We need to get back to the fleet. If we can figure out what's causing this, maybe we can stop it." They fought their way through corridors filled with incapacitated aliens, finally reaching the docking bay. As they prepped a shuttle for launch, a weak voice called out, "Ambassador Harper." They turned to see Elder Xuthal, the ancient precursor, slumped against a bulkhead. Unlike the other aliens, he seemed to be resisting the psychic assault, though at great cost. Harper rushed to his side. "Elder, what can we do?" Futhal's form flickered, struggling to maintain cohesion. The Horde, they've weaponized the very fabric of thought, a psychic plague that turns our greatest strength against us. He grasped Harper's arm with surprising strength. You humans, your minds are different. Chaotic, unpredictable. You must find a way to shield us, or all is lost. With a final, shuddering breath, Xuthel's form dissipated, leaving Harper and Vega alone in the bay. No pressure, Harper muttered as they boarded the shuttle. The scene that greeted them upon returning to humanity's hope was one of frantic activity. Human crews worked double time, manning their own stations, and those usually reserved for their alien counterparts. Status report. Vega called as she and Harper entered the bridge. Lieutenant Ramirez, looking haggard, responded from the science station. The Horde ships are broadcasting some kind of modulated energy field. It's not like anything we've seen before, but he hesitated. But what, Lieutenant? Harper pressed. Ramirez swallowed hard. Sir, the frequency. It's similar to old Earth radio waves. Specifically, it matches the resonance frequency of common neurotransmitters in telepathic species. Harper's eyes widened. They're broadcasting a signal that interferes with alien brain chemistry. But how? How could they know the exact frequency? A horrifying thought struck Vega. The battle. When we redirected their antimatter weapons, we must have leaked comm chatter. They analyzed our transmissions, realized we were immune, and found a way to exploit the difference. Harper ran a hand through his hair. So this is our fault. We showed them our hand, and they found our allies' weakness. He paced the bridge, mind racing. But if it's just a signal, can't we block it? Like cosmic noise-canceling headphones. Ramirez shook his head. The power required to counteract a signal this strong across multiple star systems, we'd need to harness the output of a small sun. Vega's eyes lit up. Or we use what we've already got. Harper, remember your crazy idea about slingshotting black holes? Harper grinned, catching on. The mass drivers, if we can't overpower the signal. We drown it out. Vega finished. The plan came together quickly. The human fleet would use their ship's mass drivers to launch specially tuned projectiles into carefully calculated orbits around nearby stellar bodies. As the projectiles accelerated to relativistic speeds, they would create gravitational waves that, when combined, would form a cosmic-scale interference pattern. It's like turning the galaxy into one giant AM radio, Harper mused as they made final preparations. Let's just hope we can find the right station. As the Void Horde closed in, the human fleet sprang into action. Mass drivers fired in synchronized volleys, launching streams of projectiles with pinpoint accuracy. For agonizing minutes, nothing seemed to change. The Horde drew ever closer, their psychic weapons still ravaging the Alliance's telepathic species. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the tide began to turn. Aboard Alliance ships, incapacitated crew members stirred, their psychic senses clearing as the human-made interference pattern took hold. On the bridge of humanity's hope, Harper and Vega watched as the tactical display came alive with friendly signatures. It's working, Ramirez exclaimed. Alliance ships are powering up across the sector. Harper allowed himself a moment of relief before turning to Vega. Now comes the hard part. We've given our allies a fighting chance, but the Horde still outnumbers us. Vega nodded grimly. Then we better make every shot count. All hands, battle stations. Let's remind the Horde why you don't pick a fight with humanity. As the human fleet moved to engage, Harper couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. They had taken the Horde's greatest advantage and turned it against them, using the very laws of physics as a weapon. It was a uniquely human solution to an impossible problem. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations as one of the most brutal and innovative engagements in galactic history. Human ingenuity and determination, combined with the renewed strength of their alien allies, clashed against the overwhelming might of the Void Horde. Victory was far from assured, but one thing was certain. Humanity had proven itself not just a minor player, but a vital, irreplaceable part of the Alliance. Whatever the outcome, the galaxy would never be the same. As humanity's hope dove into the fray, weapons blazing, Harper allowed himself a small, grim smile. The Horde had struck back hard, but humanity wasn't done fighting. Not by a long shot. Trojan Gambit. The battle raged across the star system, a chaotic dance of destruction and survival. Human ships darted between the lumbering behemoths of their alien allies, ODIN systems redirecting antimatter streams, while mass drivers punched holes through Void Horde vessels. But for every Horde ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Aboard humanity's hope, Admiral Elena Vega gripped the command chair, her knuckles white. Status report. Lieutenant Ramirez's voice was strained. Shields at 30%, Admiral. We've lost the Jakarta and the Sao Paulo. The Zhenghe is heavily damaged, but still in the fight. Ambassador Jack Harper, his usual suave demeanor replaced by grim determination, studied the tactical hologram. We can't keep this up, Elena. We're buying time, but at what cost? As if in answer, the ship rocked violently. Sparks showered from ruptured conduits as warning klaxons blared. Direct hit to our starboard mass driver array. Ramirez shouted over the noise. We've lost a quarter of our offensive capability. Vega's mind raced, searching for options. What about our allies? Have they recovered enough to rejoin the fight? Harper shook his head. They're back in action, but at reduced capacity. The psychic attack left them reeling. They're barely holding their own. Another impact shook the ship. On the view screen, a Thoraxian battle hive erupted in a spectacular explosion, taking a dozen Horde ships with it. Admiral, Ramirez called, his voice hesitant. I'm picking up a transmission. It's from Earth. Vega and Harper exchanged worried glances. They'd left their homeworld with a skeleton defense force, trusting in the combined might of the Alliance to keep the Horde at bay. If Earth was contacting them now. Put it through, Vega ordered. The holographic display flickered, resolving into the image of General Octavia Chen, Earth's highest-ranking military officer. Her face was drawn, exhausted. Admiral Vega, Ambassador Harper, she began without preamble. The Horde has broken through our outer defenses. They'll reach Earth within hours. Harper's blood ran cold. But how? The bulk of their fleet is here, fighting us. Chen's expression was grim. It appears they split their forces. While we were focused on the main assault, a smaller fleet slipped past our long-range sensors. We've enacted planetary evacuation protocols, but she didn't need to finish the thought. Earth, with its population of billions, couldn't possibly be evacuated in time. Vega's mind whirled. They couldn't abandon the battle here. The Alliance would fall without human support, but they couldn't let Earth fall either. They needed a miracle. Or perhaps, she realized with a start, they needed a trick. General Chen, Vega said, an idea forming. Hold off on full evacuation. I have a plan, but it's going to require every ounce of human ingenuity and a hell of a lot of luck. Harper raised an eyebrow. I know that look, Elena. What are you thinking? Vega allowed herself a grim smile. Ever hear of the Trojan horse, Jack? Hours later, as the Horde fleet approached Earth, they encountered no resistance. The few orbital defense platforms hung silent, powered down. Horde sensors detected masses of ships fleeing the system, presumably laden with evacuees. On the bridge of the Horde's flagship, Overlord Six Tricks chittered in anticipation. The human homeworld, birthplace of the upstarts who had caused them so much trouble, lay defenseless before them. Pitiful creatures, Six Tricks gurgled to his command staff. They flee like vermin before the storm. Prepare landing crafts. We shall savor this victory personally. As the Horde ships entered low orbit, they received an unexpected transmission. The view screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a military uniform. This is General Octavia Chen of Earth's United Defense Force, she announced, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. On behalf of humanity, I hereby surrender our world to the Void Horde. Trix's compound eyes flashed with surprise and suspicion. Surrender? You do not fight. Chen's image shook her head. We've seen what you're capable of. We can't hope to stand against your might. We only ask that you spare our civilians. We will offer no further resistance. The Overlord considered for a moment. It was unexpected, but not unwelcome. A swift victory here would allow them to reinforce their main fleet more quickly. Very well, human, Trix decided. Your surrender is accepted. Prepare to receive our landing parties. Any treachery will result in the immediate annihilation of your species. As the transmission cut off, Trix turned to his subordinates. Maintain battle readiness, but proceed with the landing. Let us claim this world and be done with it. Ord dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, heading for major population centers. In New York, Paris, Beijing, and a dozen other megacities, they encountered no resistance. Streets were eerily empty, buildings dark and silent. In Times Square, Trix himself led a contingent of elite warriors. The normally bustling heart of the city was a ghost town, massive view screens displaying only static. Spread out, the Overlord ordered. Secure the area and prepare for full occupation. As his troops moved to comply, Trix felt a strange tickle on his carapace. He brushed at it absently, then froze as he realized what he was seeing. Insects. Tiny earth insects were swarming over him and his soldiers. Flies, mosquitoes, beetles, a veritable cloud of them. Far more than should be present in an abandoned city. Before he could issue a warning, the insects attacked. But instead of bites or stings, they latched on with impossible strength. And then, to Trix's horror, they began to change. The insects' bodies shifted, revealing miniature sensors, cameras, and cutting tools. They weren't insects at all, but microscopic drones disguised as native Earth fauna. Across the globe, the same scene played out. Ord landing parties found themselves swarmed by clouds of microdrones, their every movement recorded, their technology scanned and probed. In orbit, the seemingly abandoned defense platforms suddenly hummed to life, their systems now armed with intimate knowledge of Horde ship layouts and vulnerabilities. And on the far side of the moon, hidden from Horde sensors, the combined human and Alliance fleet dropped their stealth fields, weapons primed and ready. Aboard humanity's hope, Vega allowed herself a fierce grin. All ships, this is Admiral Vega. Commence Operation Trojan Horse. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and show no mercy. As the Alliance fleet surged forward, Harper shook his head in amazement. Microscopic drones disguised as insects. You know, when I suggested we bug the Horde ships, I didn't think you'd take it quite so literally. Vega shrugged. Sometimes the old jokes are the best ones. Now let's go kick these bugs off our planet. The battle that followed was short but intense. Caught completely off guard, their weaknesses exposed and exploited, the Horde invasion force crumbled. On the ground, Earth's hidden defenders emerged from bunkers and safe houses, armed with weapons specifically designed to target Horde vulnerabilities. In orbit, Alliance ships struck with surgical precision, their weapons guided by the wealth of data gathered by the micro-drone swarms. Horde ships fell by the dozens, their much-vaunted technological superiority turned against them. As the last Horde vessel in Earth orbit exploded in a spectacular fireball, a cheer went up across the Allied fleet. They had done it. Against all odds, they had protected Earth and dealt the Void Horde a crippling blow. But even as the celebration began, Vega and Harper exchanged a somber look. This victory, while significant, was just one battle in a much larger war. The main Horde fleet was still out there, and they would not fall for such a trick again. As reports of their victory spread across Alliance channels, Vega turned to her crew. All right, people, we've bloodied their nose and shown them what humanity is capable of. But the real fight is just beginning. Let's get to work. We've got a galaxy to save. With renewed determination, The human fleet set course to rejoin their allies. The Horde had underestimated humanity for the last time. Now it was humanity's turn to take the fight to them. A new galactic order. The command center of the Galactic Alliance's headquarters buzzed with activity. Holograms flickered, showing real-time updates from across the galaxy. In the center of it all stood Admiral Elena Vega and Ambassador Jack Harper, their faces etched with exhaustion and determination. Confirmation coming in now, Lieutenant Ramirez announced, his voice tinged with disbelief. The Void Horde's main fleet is in full retreat. We've done it. We've won. A cheer erupted from the assembled crew, a cacophony of human whoops mixing with the varied sounds of jubilation from a dozen alien species. Harper allowed himself a small smile, but Vega's expression remained guarded. "It's not over yet," she cautioned, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Ramirez, what's their vector?" The lieutenant's fingers danced over his console. "They're pushing rimward, Admiral. Fastest route out of Alliance space." Harper frowned. "They're running scared. But why? They still outnumber us." Before Vega could respond, a new alert blared. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive Void Horde vessel unlike any they'd seen before. Its hull writhed with eldritch energies, as if it was only partly in their reality. "By the cosmic egg," breathed High Commander Zixtal, its energy form pulsing with alarm. "That's the Horde's command ship. We've never seen it retreat before." The strange vessel's engines flared, preparing for a faster-than-light jump. But before it could escape, a familiar voice rang out over the comms. "This is Captain Yara Chen of the EFS Zhenghe. We have a lock on the enemy command ship. Permission to engage." Vega's eyes widened. The Zhenghe had been on the verge of destruction in their last engagement. How had it not only survived but managed to flank the Horde's most important asset? "Granted, Captain," Vega replied after a moment's hesitation. "But be careful. We don't know what that ship is capable of." On the tactical display, they watched as the Zhenghe unleashed a barrage from its mass drivers. The relativistic projectiles crossed the vast distance in seconds, impacting the Horde vessel with devastating force. The effect was immediate and unexpected. Where the projectiles struck, reality itself seemed to warp and tear. The Horde ship's hull buckled not from physical damage, but from what looked like localized breakdowns in the fabric of space-time. "Incredible," Harper muttered. "Their defenses must operate on principles we don't understand. Our primitive weapons are bypassing them entirely." The Horde vessel listed, energies crackling along its hull as it struggled to maintain cohesion. Then, to everyone's shock, it began to broadcast on all frequencies. A hologram materialized in the center of the command center. The being it depicted was like nothing they'd seen before, a writhing mass of tentacles and eyes, constantly shifting and reforming. "Ceasefire," the entity's voice boomed, somehow conveying desperation despite its alien nature. We surrender." A hush fell over the command center. Vega stepped forward, her voice steady. "This is Admiral Elena Vega of the Galactic Alliance. We accept your surrender. Stand down all weapons and prepare to be boarded." The entity's form rippled, its many eyes blinking in what might have been resignation. "Agreed, but you do not understand. We did not come to conquer. We came to escape." Harper moved to stand beside Vega. "Escape from what?" The hologram shifted, showing a view of intergalactic space. In the vast darkness between galactic clusters, something moved, something impossibly large and utterly alien. "The Devourers," the Horde entity explained, its voice trembling. "They consume entire galaxies. We fled our home, eons ago, seeking refuge. But they follow, always. We thought if we could unite this galaxy under our rule, we might stand a chance." Silence reigned as the implications sank in. The Void Horde, the greatest threat the Alliance had ever faced, was itself running from an even greater danger. Vega's mind raced. "How long?" she demanded. "How long until these Devourers reach our galaxy?" The entity's form rippled again. At their current speed, perhaps 1,000 of your years, maybe less. Harper let out a low whistle. Well, that's a problem for another day, at least. But Vega was already in motion, her tactical mind shifting gears. No, it's a problem for right now. Zixtal, contact the Alliance Council. We need to begin preparations immediately. Harper, get me a line to Earth. If we're going to face this threat, we'll need every scrap of human ingenuity we can muster. As the command center erupted into a flurry of activity, the Horde entity watched in puzzlement. You would prepare now, for a threat so distant. Vega turned back to the hologram, a glint of determination in her eye. 1,000 years is a blink of an eye in cosmic terms. But it's also enough time to advance our technology, expand our territory, and build our defenses. We beat you, didn't we? And we'll beat these devourers too. Harper nodded, a wry smile on his face. What the good Admiral is trying to say is, welcome to the Alliance. I hope you're ready to lend a hand, because we've got work to do. In the days that followed, news of the Void Horde's surrender, and the reason behind their invasion, spread across the galaxy. Initial celebrations gave way to a mix of fear and determination as the true scale of the coming threat became clear. But something else spread too: hope. The species of the Alliance, so recently at each other's throats, found themselves united by a common purpose, and at the center of it all was humanity. Earth became a melting pot of galactic cultures and a crucible of innovation. The ingenuity that had allowed humans to hold their own against vastly superior technology was now focused on preparing for a threat beyond imagination. Shipyards that had once churned out vessels of war now produced exploration ships, designed to push deeper into uncharted space. Scientists of 100 species collaborated on projects that would have been deemed impossible just years before. The Void Horde, once their greatest enemy, provided invaluable insights into the nature of the Devourers and the advanced physics that govern their actions. Humans, with their unique way of thinking, often found connections and solutions that eluded their alien counterparts. 5 years after the surrender of the Horde, Admiral Vega stood on the observation deck of humanity's Hope, now the flagship of a combined Alliance Horde expedition fleet. Beside her, Ambassador Harper adjusted his cufflinks, looking out at the assembled armada. Quite a view, isn't it? Harper mused. 1,000 ships, a dozen species working together. Who would have thought? Vega nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. We've come a long way, but we got a lot further to go. As if on cue, a shimmer of energy heralded the arrival of their final passenger. The Horde entity, now known as Emissary 6, materialized beside them. The fleet is ready, Admiral. 6 reported, its form rippling with what they had learned was excitement. All ships report green across the board. Vega took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. Well then, let's not keep the universe waiting. Harper, care to do the honors? The ambassador grinned, keying the shipwide comm. Attention all hands. This is Ambassador Harper. In a few moments, we'll be making our first jump beyond the galactic barrier. What we find out there may shape the future of not just our galaxy, but all galaxies. He paused, looking out at the stars. 1,000 years ago, humanity dreamed of reaching the moon. Today, we reach for the spaces between the stars themselves. Whatever comes, know this: we face it together, as one united galaxy. As the order was given and the fleet prepared to jump, Vega allowed herself a moment of reflection. The road ahead was long and fraught with dangers beyond imagination. But looking at the diverse crew around her, she felt a surge of confidence. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, not through overwhelming force or advanced technology, but through creativity, determination, and an unshakable spirit. Those same qualities would see them, all of them, through the challenges ahead. As the first ships began to vanish into the swirling vortex of faster-than-light travel, Vega smiled. The Devourers were coming, yes, but this time, the galaxy would be ready, and humanity would be leading the charge.